Hey, what do you do, Maria? Back with another video. Looks like I got time on my hands. It's oh gosh, what time is it? I always say the time. It's at 3 o'clock exactly on Thursday afternoon. I just made 2 videos today, and they posted up nice and easy without any problems, which I'm surprised, because I've had some problems in the past. So I was sitting here, thinking after I made my last video, and I let the words sink in of what I say. I was thinking even more on this subject. Um, when it comes to targeted individuals and the issues that we have to face, and I don't believe that silence is a good way of handling it. Now, had I been silent, I would have continued to been more frustrated, more terrified, and then I would have been a victim of people thinking, honest and truthfully, that they were in the right when they weren't. Okay, and you have to sometimes be unafraid. You have to be unafraid. You can't let fear get in the way of standing up for what's right. And I think I had a lot of practice because I always had to defend myself when I was growing up against a large group of people. So, confrontation is nothing for me. But I don't like to be being confrontational. I like to be a very mellow person. I'm very easy to get along with. I'm very friendly, outgoing, personable person. But, when you're dealing with that sort of reasoning and mind control, you got to put on your armor, you know what I mean? So, I would encourage targeted individuals to speak out. I mean, speak out loud and talk about the issues. And don't be afraid to name names. Don't be afraid to throw out, people's identity. That includes businesses, companies, organizations, people in general, okay? Because obviously, silence speaks volumes, okay? And that lets you know exactly who's involved. Because I will tell you what, an innocent person and who's really concerned about you is going to jump in and take a stand and say something to you directly, okay? Guilty people behave in a very predictable manner. Um, it's for your own benefit. Now, there's a lot of people who don't understand, why certain rules and laws are supposed to be applied. And like I said before, this is the main reason. Okay, it violates human rights, and what it is it's an outright crime. Um, so, who should be concerned about being targeted, and who seems to be less interested in this whole program? Now, I will say that the majority of people who are targeted are minorities. Okay, that includes minorities race based on race, as well as women. Okay, and when I say women, I'm talking about white women. Okay, white women are targets in this program, um, and they should be concerned, just as concerned as any other minority. In my case, I'm like a double whammy, but I'm a woman and a minority. I'm a racial minority as well as a woman. But yes, white men are targets. Most of the time, white men who experience being targeted are certain individuals. Like, for example, they might be extremely nerdy, um, or they might be maybe some sort of deviant, and not deviant like social deviant, like a bad person, but they might be foreign. Maybe they might be from maybe in England, or they might be from another country or whatever. Some of them are what do you call it? I know there's a few people who've had Asperger's or autism who have been placed in this program. But whatever the case is, why people get put into the program is oftentimes there is involved is a smear campaign, a total thrashing of the person's character, and most of the time, I would say all the time, really, most of the people who are targeted are just as confused and they don't know exactly why. I mean, luckily, I have a very consistent pattern. Like I said, I can look back, going to work, coming home, since my schedule has always been the same for the last God knows how long. It's easy for me to be able to pinpoint exactly all these events and put it all together. Okay. Now, luckily, it's bad, kind of sad, but at the same time, I'm very fortunate to be able to do that because there's a lot of people, they might be part of certain social organizations like activities after work or within their community or whatever, and they're so involved with so many different things that it would be very difficult for them to figure out exactly what happened. But in my situation, it's quite easy to figure it out. Okay, of course, it did take me about 600 videos, but it took me some. I was easier for me than it is for a lot of other people. And now, going back to the issues of who should be concerned, I would say, my concern is mostly not to ignore my racial issue because it's obviously out there, okay? And I did want to say, in my last video, I wanted to say that when it comes to racial issues, oftentimes minorities, particularly black people, are often accused of playing the race card, okay? And this is funny because after I left the farmer's place, I was being accused of playing the race card when I didn't do a thing. So I want people to really look at this situation, okay? So that when people talk about playing the race card, I hate to say it, but most of the time who's playing the race card is usually members of the white race. They're the ones who are throwing it out there, not me, okay? Or any other minority. Because in most of my situations, my social interactions, um, inappropriate comments are generally um, coming out of their mouths, whether that be some sort of statement relating to how they greet me, or a certain dialect that they go into when they start talking to me, and I'm just looking at them like, okay. There's a lot of ignorance among white people, okay? And that's not to say, it's not to put them down, it's just that's how they are. They've been conditioned, they've been mind controlled since day one, since it came out of the womb, okay? So they've been controlled for a very long time. And when you think about how widespread this became, nobody's ever going to convince me that 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 what I'm saying is not true. You know what I mean? I have too much evidence to prove otherwise. Okay, but I'm a peaceful person, and oftentimes when you're confronted with racism, it's shocking for me because you think, well, this is a modern day and age. People are far more socially aware, but I've dealt with so many ignorant people I can't even tell you. So it's like I don't know what I mean, I usually handle it in a very I don't know, I guess maybe call it professional way, but I don't put up with just outright inflammatory racism. But like I said, racism and the accusations of it always comes from them, not minorities, okay? Like I said, this situation proves it, cannot be denied. um, but really, what targeted people need to wake up to this issue. It's becoming far too common, and too many people are being dragged into situations that they're not aware of. Um, most of the videos that I've seen from people, they don't have an idea as to what's going on with them. They talk about, all these strange situations. And in my back of my mind, I'm thinking, number one, it's probably your family. Your family has put you in this program. And then other people latched on, and then you became a victim of, what I call an extension of abuse from your family. It generally starts off as some sort of domestic stalking issue, I would say. Not all the time. Sometimes it happens when, like for example, my issue with the farmer's place. Now, let's just say, for example, he was just a racist piece of trash, and he decided to take it upon himself to do all of the stuff, okay? Regardless of what my family encouraged him to do or whatever. He took it upon himself to do what he did. Whether that kind of stuff happens all the time, okay? It happens all the time. There's a lot of, what do you call it, overinflated egos who want to basically exert their imaginary form of authority, and they start dictating and trying to direct people's lives and saying what they can and cannot do and putting situations in place. What that is right there is a great example of white supremacy. Okay, but what aside from that, like I said, other people have been affected. They've been blacklisted. They've been demoted. They've been, reassigned to different positions or whatever, based on what one employer did to them. Okay, which is illegal. Okay, because nobody has the right to do that. So this is happening all over the place, and so my biggest issue is people need to understand exactly what it is. People hear this term gang stalking, they hear about human trafficking, they have all kinds of misconceptions as to what it is. Okay, now, even though, like I mentioned, and I'm working on my video, my presentation through my crappy computer program, which I need to stop calling it crappy because I need to be grateful for that I have it. But they keep thinking, okay, well, like, for example, oh, I'm not racist, because in the back of their mind they think, well, racism is people who wear hoods, like the Ku Klux Klan, and they burn crosses on people's yard, and they do these sort of things, and they do these sort of things. But I'm not in that category, because they don't understand that the whole definition is very widespread. Okay, and just because you're not participating in one act doesn't mean you're not participating in the other. And so people don't really realize exactly what they are. But the fact of the matter is, this is racism, period. Okay, and just like human trafficking, people think, well, in the back of their minds, that means that somebody is being shoved in the back of a truck, or they're, being put in a box, and they're being carted, across, borders or cities or towns or states or countries or whatever. That's not true. Okay, it's the good thing. I mean, the one way of looking at it is that's actually shuttling or transporting. That's a completely different thing. Okay, human trafficking is directing people to a certain movement, or for a particular goal or particular reason, guiding their every step in their action. Okay, because they're under some sort of systematic control. That's what it is. Okay, and so people don't understand what things mean, and so they end up doing and participating in things that are illegal and not completely aware of it. You got to be careful about group mentality. And it's like, when you're younger and your parents say things like, well, just because everybody else is doing it, would you jump off a cliff if somebody else did it? The fact is, most people will. Okay, they will. And I see that, you got this herd mentality, and you got a bunch of lemmings, basically, who are willing to do just that. But I'm not like that. And so, by me speaking up and out about racism isn't mean that I'm sitting here trying to start a revolution, or that I'm sitting here trying to stir up the racial pot, because I'm the one who tried to avoid it. Okay, but everyone here in the town who participated, not everybody, but the people who participated in this, they were indeed stirring the racial pot. That includes the farmer, it includes the people who I've worked for, all the agencies who got involved. They are the ones, not me. Okay, because Maria signed a confidentiality contract so that this was never to be discussed, ever. So she went from one place to another, minding her own business, and this bullshit continued on. So Maria's innocent. Okay, so like I said, when we take a really close look at our system and the way that things are in this country, you have to take an honest look at it. And if you can't take an honest look at it, there's a big problem. Okay, and I will never live under that sort of ignorance, because I see things for what they are. So my future with white people, yeah, I could still be friends with white people. I don't have, all I'm saying is that white people have and I'm very well aware of it, they have an over sense of, some of them, a lot of them, have over inflated egos, regardless of their social or their economic situation. You know what I mean? And to me, I don't buy into it. I will never buy into it. I'm never going to sit here and think that somebody's superior to me. Okay? Of course, there's other individuals in this world who are superior to me. Okay? But it's not based on race. Okay? It's based on things that they know, things they're able to do, so on and so forth. Okay? But, and I'm not saying that, I can't be friends with a white person, or I can't like a white person or anything like that. I'm just saying is, I'm realistic, okay? And I understand where their background comes from. They've been fed a lot of bullshit their entire life, So therefore, they're going to act on it. And I've dealt with a lot of it since I moved here. Of course, you know what? I've always had to deal with racism. I mean, I grew up in a town where, you know, there wasn't very many black kids growing up in my school. There was some, but they were like so far removed in age from me that I didn't really associate with them until I got a little bit older. But you know, it is what it is. Okay, so I know how to deal with it. But I don't like it when, you know, white people try to put certain what do you call it, images, or attach certain behavior traits to me, or assume certain things about me, or want to kind of force me into this little box, because that's not going to happen. Okay, once I recognize what that is, I avoid them, you know, like the plague. I don't want to have anything to do with them. I cut them off. Is basically what I do. But anyway, everybody needs to be interested and involved with this whole issue of targeting individuals. They should be. They should be concerned. It should be something that's constantly talked about. Because basically what it is that anybody who has something against you, anything, okay, like for example, you can get a new car, okay, and somebody who might be driving a piece of shit like myself, okay, but I'm cool. I mean, I don't trip on vehicles, but still, some people in my situation would be extremely envious of your new Mercedes Benz parked in your garage, okay, and they might be so envious and vengeful about the situation that they want to lash out at you and try to prevent you from keeping your car. So they'll go through this whole gamut of like trying to fuck with your employment, spreading rumors about you, because they just can't, they don't want you to make one more car payment, so they want your car repossessed. That's how people can be, okay? And so when you're dealing with companies, they're supposed to be keeping certain things in place, keeping bullshit out, and yet they're the ones who are participating in it, you know? And that's my issue. It's like, you know, corruption just, it thrives in this town, okay? This town is based on corruption. I mean, it's quite obvious to me. Yeah, I do speak what I want. I do speak frankly. You know, I speak very directly, and I speak honestly. I speak truth. You know, I'm not afraid to speak the truth. You know, now I will say the perps who got involved in this, they have more fear than I do, because they know what they're doing is bullshit, and their whole shit is based on the foundation of a lie. Bullshit. So when you're standing in truth, you can speak loud, you can speak proud, and you can hold your head up high, which is exactly what I'm doing. So anyway, yeah, everybody needs to be involved in this issue of targeted individuals. Everyone. And people should take anything for granted. Take nothing and no one for granted. That's just how it has to be. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up, and I will be back with another one later. And like I said, you know, I have nothing, I'm not racist, I'm not a black supremacist, which some people, they love to try to throw that title on you. And the only reason why they do it is because they don't know how to, they don't understand, okay? I'm tired of dealing with people who can't understand. What I do is I just speak the facts. The facts speak for themselves, and they certainly do. Wrapping up this video, be back with another one later.